That was like 4 years into my TV career, and I was having a ball, but I was certain at that moment that my TV career was done. Hello and welcome to only the second episode of Behind the Lens, an inside look at what it's like to gather TV news. I'm Stuart Pittman, Chief Photojournalist for Queen City News Plus, and I'm very glad you're here. This week, we're talking about something that strikes fear, excitement, and dread into the heart of any news crew: hurricanes.
Look at this guy.
You ever have one of those mornings where you rethink your entire career? It's been a long day of driving around flooded streets, dodging debris, and generally doing the kind of things we tell you on the news not to do. What can I say? It's a living.
Yes, it is. And someone who knows that living all too well is my friend and cohort, Brian Christensen. Hi, Brian. How you doing?
Stuart, I'm fantastic. Hope you are.
I am. You, in your time at Queen City News, have covered quite a few hurricanes. In fact, I think of you as our chief hurricane photojournalist, and nothing comes with that title but my admiration. So let's get right to it.
Thank you. By the way, I could never eat another cereal bar.
Why would that be?
Because I think I ate an entire case of them.
Yeah.
In a case in a course of 2 or 3 days.
I was gonna ask you what extra socks, granola bars, and trash bags have in common.
It's in the back of my car at all times.
Yeah. What is it like to cover a hurricane? I know that's a broad question, but as far as, you get down there, you're on scene, the weather's getting worse and worse and worse by the moment. It's your job to provide a live, stable picture and sound. What's that like?
There's no pressure whatsoever. You've got to have constant batteries. You've got to have garbage bags covering all your gear, making sure everything is completely waterproof.
Yeah.
You are trying to find some safety, some parking garage, whatever the structure could be,
right,
for your own safety and the safety of your reporter. One of the last hurricanes I went to down in Fort Myers, I guess it was.
Sure.
We were in a parking garage, and the wind was coming in so strong that the water was going up the car ramp.
Yeah.
We were up on the second floor. It takes everything because you are constantly on. You're constantly looking, observing,
right,
recording, editing, sending.
Sure.
There's hey, I'm going to break for lunch.
Hey, what is that flying by? Is that a stop sign?
That is a stop sign. That is an instrument of death, probably right there.
I mean, that really is. We've all seen the shaking stop signs, but to see one in flight and to capture it on tape, if you will, is pretty cool.
It came out of nowhere. I was shooting the other direction. All of a sudden, it just started, what's that term? Yeah, that one.
Nearly kill you?
Yeah,
No.
that too.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I was up on the second floor, so it was good.
Yeah. These days with our little backpack transmitters, we can go live from just about anywhere. And that's a blessing and a curse. When I started, you had to be tied to a sat truck and you're often at a hotel balcony and you spent the entire storm there. Now you can take a backpack and go anywhere. And with that comes some instant judgment you have to use to show the best video you can possibly show, like the stuff you've shot here. But survive the day. How do you ride that line?
You're preparing. It takes 10 minutes inside of your car to get ready to get out of the car, because meaning to make sure you are completely waterproof.
Right.
And that $20,000 piece of equipment on your back that's streaming that live picture and everything, that is wrapped in a garbage bag, duct taped down with 2 holes that you can wear over your shoulders.
Right.
It's just, you almost can't prepare for it, but it's there. You've got to just face it and just get soaked and drenched. And the first time you feel hot water in 4 days is the absolute best. And
sure.
So, but yeah.
Yeah, well, I know those creature comforts can kind of go out the window when your job is to spend 18 hours, or maybe not quite that long, but it feels like it, giving a live picture, a live signal, a live report. But no matter how many storms you've covered, it's hard to remember them all. You tend, though, to remember the very first one. Do you remember yours?
Yes. As I was getting out of the car, the guy getting out of his car was Jim Cantori.
Yes.
I knew that it was real. And then later that night, the real moment was my hat flew off during our live hit, and David Santendry, the reporter I was working with, stopped his oh, sorry, Brian's hat came off, and went to get it. And here, Brian, put this on tighter. Said this on live TV, and I'm like, thanks, buddy. Appreciate
Love
it.
that.
Yeah.
So we were talking a little bit earlier, about NFL players, and after rookies spend their first few years in the league, they'll do these interviews, and everyone asks, "All right, what was your welcome to the NFL moment?" And it's that moment where they get absolutely trucked by some veteran defensive player who just, hey, this ain't college anymore. And Stuart, you had a clip that we wanted to show.
Sure.
This one, walk us through what was. Oh, that's you.
That's me right there in the red or blue, I forget the black, at the bottom of the screen, wondering what just happened. And I'm pulling the camera that I don't own out of the Atlantic Ocean. It was 1994. It was my first hurricane, but not my first storm. I had driven for hours to be there by dawn, and this is the view from the camera. I'm plugging in a microphone along with several other news crews when someone yelled and the sky turned to water. And the next thing I know, I'm swimming underwater with the camera, just trying to, and we punched through a fence, those little beach fences right there, that one. I was probably only underwater for about 15 seconds, but I remember thinking, well, that was fun. That was like 4 years into my TV career, and I was having a ball, but I was certain at that moment that my TV career was done because I'm swimming in the ocean with the camera. When we pop up, I look up and there's a network news crew pointing right at me, waving. So, like right here, you'll see me look at the camera there. I realize that, oh goodness, now everyone's going to see.
I can't hide.
Yeah. I can't hide.
Did you have like a respect for the power? I mean, after that moment,
I do now. Ever since, don't turn your back on an angry ocean, and that sounds dramatic, but the ocean was pretty normal when I was there. It was the morning after the storm. I was there amongst a bunch of other people. Thank God I wasn't the only person wiped out. That would have been horrible. Because I had this guy is a very senior network cameraman with a much more expensive camera that got wiped out. So I thank God that he was there and I wasn't the only one.
And this is your shot as the wave comes in.
That is my shot as the wave comes in. And next thing I know, I'm swimming. It was a baptism. It was my baptism into storm gathering. And I thought that my TV time was over, but I've gone on to cover probably 12 to 13 named hurricanes and far more storms than I can even remember, and I'm fine with that. It's been a great experience, but I'd now much rather talk about that kind of storm gathering than actually do it.
What was going through your mind at that second? I mean, I know it's a core memory.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it happened so quick. I didn't have time to get scared. I came up and I was bleeding from the hand minorly. I had some scratches. But by the time I got back to my car to use my then revolutionary bag phone, that shot was on the satellite and my boss was looking at it. So a few minutes after that, I'm calling my boss, trying to explain what happened, and he's already watching the footage. That footage led to network newscasts that night and was on headline news for like 18 hours. And it was all rather embarrassing at the time. And I thought it would be my last time shooting anything, let alone a hurricane. But it just turned out to be a lovely baptism. I wouldn't recommend it.
Did it come with an Emmy?
No, I that wasn't even in my mindset back then.
So one thing we had talked about putting this show together, we talked to a lot of photographers and people who've been before a storm, during a storm, and after a storm. And there's one silver lining that you guys really all of you talked about.
Anyone who has covered a storm, a hurricane like that, and has ridden out the storm knows about the sunrises or the sunsets the morning after or that evening of. And these are just a couple of shots that we accumulated from random shots. Some of them, this is yours, Brian, right?
I think so. That one's definitely mine.
That's Brian's. That's
Canada Wyatt on the right, Colby on the left.
Yeah.
My mother thought that was me on the left.
Okay, Mom. But the sunrises, are incredible.
They are that is real. That's not photoshopped. That is absolutely 100%. The before and after sunrises, sunsets, before and after those storms are just incredible.
Yeah, I've always viewed it as God's promise that the destruction came and went, Everything is going to get better, and most likely you're going to be asked to come back and do another one of these hurricanes. That's what those sunsets mean to me. All right, well, that was awesome. We're going to take a quick break and come back and talk more about covering hurricanes. And we're back to Behind the Lens, an inside look at what it's like to gather TV news. This week, of course, we're talking about hurricanes. And two people who know quite well what hurricanes feel like are my guests, Kevin Pinto and Jenna Pinto. Hi, guys.
Hey, hi. Thanks for having us.
So you might know a thing or two about hurricanes and what it's like to take a camera into a hurricane and basically jump in a car with a coworker you may know, you may not know, and drive straight to the closest part of the hurricane path as you can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So there's a lot to talk about with hurricanes, but let's start from the very beginning. And as a television photojournalist, you know, covering a hurricane is within the realms of what you might be called to do, but it ain't what you do every day. So even if you're prepared to do it, it's a heck of a phone call to receive sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Jenna, what's it like to get that call, and what's the first thing you think of? What do you do?
So I'm a Girl Scout at heart. So I'm immediately thinking, what do I need to pack? What do I need to put in my car? And I bring a lot of things. Should I show my things?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Bring out the bag.
Some travel light, some travel heavy.
I travel heavy. I have a big bag.
Oh.
It is my go bag. And honestly, this is only half of what I bring.
Sure.
But I have
Pull it up
all the
again.
things. All the things?
Yeah.
What are some of the things?
Go bag. Okay, so bug spray, because after the storm, especially in Florida, it is
let me see.
so gross. Bug spray.
Yeah.
Lots of. I have two actually.
Yeah.
Because you never know
You
what
never
kind
know.
you might need. And sunscreen, because after the storm, the sun is intense.
It'll.
Gosh, it's gonna take a while if I go through all of it. I bring gloves because you
Right.
never know what you might have to touch or pick up to get to wherever you need to go.
Right.
And I don't want to touch a lot of the stuff that's been hit by the storm, especially after the storm surge. You don't know what kind of stuff is in the storm.
There's a lot of sewage that'll get mixed in.
A lot of sewage. It's
Yeah.
gross. And I'm a big fan of hot meals because it is miserable on day 3 when you've had like the cold can of
Right.
SpaghettiOs for the third day in a row, and you're like, I want it heated. So
Yeah.
I have
And you
a
bought
hot
me one of those too. So yeah,
I
it's
did buy
definitely
one of these because
helpful. I usually use like 7-Eleven microwaves, but
yes, if they're open.
If they're open.
They're fine.
Yeah, exactly.
So this is like it's a small hot plate that plugs into an inverter in our cars.
I have never done that. I've always relied on soggy granola bars and old popcorn and, you know, all kinds of snacks, but I've never.
beef jerky.
Yeah, but I've
Oh, yeah.
never like
You're
actually
not
cooked.
doing hurricanes, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
I pack peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Honestly, that's I
Yes.
just they get a little gross after a while, but you know.
Yeah.
Yes.
Better
And then
than
I
nothing.
always have my drone thing because drone video is key during storm. Afterward, like that's gonna be the best to show destruction. And I have my rain pants and my rain jacket. So like all of that stuff. What else do I have in here? And a first aid kit.
So
That's a
So
good call.
So is it a matter of you get the call to go cover hurricane, you just grab your bag, jump in the car, and go?
well, this sits in my car all the time.
Right.
Because I just learned that it's easier to just have it ready to go. And then the stuff that I have to go home and pack is like your clothes, all the other things. And on top of all of that is like getting your life in order, right? So
Right.
I have a dog
Oh,
and he's super cute. His name is Oliver. And I
oh,
have
there
to
we go.
find, yay, Oliver. And I have to find some place for him to go, right?
Right.
Like, do you find boarding? A lot of times, if you're living in the area where the destruction is, the boarding place is closed down, or they require that you do it like within a certain amount of time. The same with hotels and stuff like that. So the moment that you hear about a hurricane that you're getting sent into, especially if it's in your area, you're calling the hotels up, you're booking a room as quickly as possible, you're getting the boarding ready. Yeah, it's a lot, but Ollie is great, and he has handled multiple storms like a champ. I wish I could pack him with me. It'd be nice to have an emotional support animal.
So it might complicate things.
We 3 worked in Florida,
Mhm.
Kevin and Jenna. And so typically what you get is at most typically maybe a 3-day heads up from your meteorologist, your weather team that like, hey, the models look right. It's coming here. For you guys, it was Fort Myers, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
then Tampa.
Yeah, in Tampa.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So you know it's coming. You have maybe 72 hours to kind of get everything ready. Poor Ollie is wondering, and poor Kevin.
Yeah.
And then to make all those arrangements. So it's a quick turnaround. And the station, they help. They're great, but there's only so much they can do. It's really, your experience of like what you'll need
Yeah.
to make your life easier in those first couple days and then the days after, because you guys went through a couple powerful ones where, I mean, it's a widespread outages for days.
Oh yeah.
And some of the stations that we worked for were better at preparing us. The station that we worked at in Fort Myers, the chief there did a really good job of giving us like hurricane preparedness.
Yeah, no, we had a great
Kevin.
chief over there. You're a great chief too. All right.
You're a great
Yeah,
chief.
yeah.
too.
Hold on, I have my go bag.
It's a whole nother show.
You have another
Did a really good job of prepping us and giving us these bags that we now carry with us all the
Right.
time. So
We have usually have towels,
Yeah.
right? Like one of those here.
Well, you need a towel.
Here we go. There you go. Now he has it. And then we have, we bring like treats
Right.
and stuff like that.
All the
And then we always have extra Glad bags and stuff
Mm-hmm.
because one of those pictures or whatever shows me like with a bag over the light.
Right.
'Cause we need to protect our top lights and stuff like that.
Hey, talk about that real quick. We have professional TV cameras and professional TV camera packaging, but you can't do without as
No.
many trash bags as you can buy.
Yeah, trash
Oh,
bags is like crazy, especially get clearer ones and you can set them up on light stands and stuff, hair
Right.
ties to keep them down.
Right.
We'd have like clips and other like little treats and stuff. And then some people preferred condoms.
Condom.
Yeah.
unlubricated condoms.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
has to be unlubricated.
So the condoms go on the microphone
Yes.
for your reporter.
Yeah.
So you could use that. I use the Glad bag and I would like as tight as possible
Mhm.
over the mic.
Yeah.
Because your mic gets destroyed now. You can't hear and it's kind of useless. So.
Sure.
But yeah.
Everyone has the method that they like the best. I never used the condom method.
No, I didn't use the Glad bag was.
They always had them ready for us, but I never used them.
They're always on
Felt a
standby.
little weird.
I do think people,
What the handouts at the yeah.
I do think people at home really don't think about the fact that hey, that TV news crew's there, on the edge of the hurricane.
Mhm.
Camera equipment by nature ain't supposed to get wet.
No.
And no one thinks about that, but everything gets soaked, and if it gets too wet, it goes down. So that's pretty much your major concern when covering a hurricane is simply just staying upright and keeping dry and keeping the picture up. And I think people don't think about that.
Especially in
Yeah.
Florida, there's the double whammy because you have the rain from the actual storm itself, but then you have the humidity.
Ooh.
So you have to have that careful balance of like, okay, so I'm going to put a bag over or rain gear over my camera, but it can't stay closed for too long because the humidity builds up inside and then it will quite literally fry from the inside out from the moisture, which is
Yeah.
No.
No, there's stuff to worry about for sure, right? And then, the clothes that you're bringing, Jenna, I know brings extra socks. I would forget about that. But I mean, we would wear some weird stuff, flip flops, right? I wear
yeah.
basketball shorts.
Yeah.
I like
Look at that.
basketball
Look at that.
shorts out there because I don't want to wear,
Humidity.
I don't want to wear like jeans, right, and get soaked and have
Yeah.
to wear that the rest of the day. And you're 12 hours on, 12 hours off.
Well, explain to us some of the mechanics of it in that, say you're sent down to the coast by your station as the hurricane approaches. You're not, more times than not, you're not just there for the station that sent you. You're there for the network your station is affiliated with. Therefore, you're giving live shots, very often the exact same live shot for, 18 different stations back to back to back to back to back to back to back in the pouring rain. It's like it's an exciting and sometimes dangerous assignment, but it's also mundane as hell.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we were in Florida, right? So I did Irma and Matthew. I think Matthew was the one that hit like Orlando area.
Right.
So yeah, I traveled with my reporter. His name was Nestor. And yeah, so you're doing 18, 15 hits. It feels like every hour almost, and you're trying to plan different things, trying to make it show different things. You don't want to travel too much. That's the other trick.
Right.
Gas is also scarce for us, right?
Yes.
So it's really hard to get gas. And so, yeah, we're trying to do all these hits, but get creative while not running out of gas. It's hard to do that. And then we had to travel 2.5 hours back inland just to find gas.
Yes.
Afterward, we were 4 miles to empty. And we worked at the same station. And so with the gas, you guys had a truck. I think that you guys got to meet
fuel
up.
tanker that came
We
in.
couldn't make it. In
They
time,
gave
but
us
yeah,
a
we did.
location. They were like, meet at this Ace Hardware on the corner of blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. And if
Yeah.
you didn't make it, you didn't get gas.
Well, Irma was great because we actually, there was a pump, and I don't know how legal this was. But there was a pump that was like a mile away from the station, and the firefighters were using it. And I met one of them, and they said, "Yeah, come and use it." So we had to go there and like hand pump it. But we got it, and we got gas. And Irma was in Fort Myers, so we didn't have to travel, which is great, right? But it did affect me still, and it affect
Sure.
us. So yeah, I'm not traveling, but I mean, it's still affecting us, and that was wild.
Certainly. This has been awesome. We have a lot more to talk about. So let's take a quick break and we'll be right back with Behind the Lens. Welcome back to Behind the Lens. We're talking about hurricanes. And one of the things we can't talk enough about is safety. How do you stay safe when you're trying to cover the news when everything is sort of blowing up in your face?
Yeah, I mean, safety's we kind of ignore it. We tell everybody, hey, go out there and then be safe. And then we're the ones going out there and we're questioning it.
We ride the line.
I know. Yeah, we ride the line. I get it. But I mean, a lot of us are a little bit overzealous too. And we just want to go out there and we're almost like kids in a way. We just want to go play in the rain and shoot stuff. But yeah, I mean, the post is really the scariest part. You're driving around trying to get shots of stuff and you're also trying to be careful. With Irma, that went over Fort Myers, and I was there for that.
Sure.
I went out with a reporter, and I had a live truck, and there were some wires, and you have to be careful. And I did get snagged on one, and I caught it right in time, slammed the brakes, and then had to reverse out of it. Luckily, it wasn't a live wire because that would be another problem. You actually have to hop out of your truck, as we've been told, so we don't get electrocuted. You don't become the ground.
Sure.
So that's kind of wild, but yeah, just. Be careful out there. When I lived there, we had trees fall down in front of my apartment. We had to stay at another friend's house. My place smelled terrible. There was food rotted, and it was hot, and it's Florida. So, but yeah, it's just keeping your eyes out.
The live wires seriously are a thing though, because I know that I covered a little bit differently than you. I put an emphasis on safety. But there are times when I got stuck in the town that I was in,
right?
Because there were live wires down on every access point into and out of the city, right? So when we finally did get out of the city that we were staying in for Hurricane Michael, actually, then we finally it was pitch black. You can't see anything. We're driving down the road. We're hearing thunk, thunk, thunk. And my reporter goes, "What is that?" And I was like, "Oh, that's all the power lines we're driving over." And she's like, "What do you mean?" And I said, "Well, there's only one way to get back to our hotel. And we were lucky enough that our hotel still had air conditioning, it had power, it had all the things. So if we wanted those luxuries for a night, we had to drive over power lines." And the next morning we woke up and that interstate was shut down for 3 days. So you never know what you're going to get. But we wanted that hotel so desperately because the other hotel we were supposed to stay at, the hurricane blew the windows out. So we couldn't stay at it. We had multiple hotels as safety backups. And we had to get to that one or else we were going to sleep in our car.
And people don't think about where the news crews sleep, and nor should they ever have to. But
that's the first thing they think of. Oh, where are those news crews going to sleep? Poor guys.
Sleep.
Yeah.
But it can be a challenge to find lodging, and sometimes you have to wheel and deal. I've checked into hotel rooms only to have to check right back out, and left my good pair of shoes in that room. And I'm still thinking about those shoes I left at a hurricane 5 years ago.
Still salty about that one.
Still pretty salty. So, I mean, lodging alone can be an issue. And certainly when the power goes out and the only power at the hotel is one power strip in the stairwell where all the locals are gathered by, and you have to barter for a space to plug in your phone. It's ridiculous the things you have to go through. And the producers back in the shop, God bless them, don't care. They just need the shot up. They haven't got time to hear about the hell.
Oh, here's one. We have a producer in studio.
We cared. I know you care very immensely about where you send crews to, and you want them to be safe.
I know you do.
I just had to defend producers everywhere in newsrooms.
Right. Yeah, get rid of your box.
It's a charge, though, and I think you guys forget sometimes that.
Only
it's
one
not
thing has
just
to
the batteries for the camera; it's everything has to be a
Everything.
charge.
Yeah.
So
Don't worry, his box is gone, guys. So just the three of us again.
we love you. We
Yeah.
love you.
With the hotel though, there was one that we stayed in. There was glow sticks just down the hallway. That was the only power that they had, and then a crew was there before us, and they booked a room for us, and that was the Orlando trip, and someone had used our bathroom already, and the toilets weren't working either, so that was cool. But yeah, just little things that that we're also out there trying to struggle. And again, we smell terrible. We don't take showers, and
Sure.
yeah, definitely come say hi to us if you see us during a hurricane.
Give us a hug.
Please do. Well, you smell much better now.
Thank you. Yeah.
And I appreciate your perspective on covering hurricanes. And we've only scratched the surface because there's so much to this kind of thing. But maybe we'll have another episode and have you guys back on.
Sure.
So thanks again. You've been watching Behind the Lens. I'm Stuart Pittman. Thanks again.
Queen City News Plus. Just search Queen City News on your smart TV's app store.